It is another lovely day here in my humble little fish home. The last and final piece of the puzzle has arrived and is here to take over or to move in to the 60-liter shallow tank. Which way do I have to point? I have to point that way. Tank is there. It is doing great as ever. It's doing just as good as what we left it in last time. And for now, well, today we want to talk about what are we going to use this tank for, because it's not just a nice looking tank. It's actually, to some extent, also a little bit of an experiment. But what kind of experiment? I'll let you into in just a second. Before we talk about it though, I want to show you what's in the bucket down here. And well, I feel like it's only appropriate to let them introduce themselves rather than me saying, hey, would you look at them? Because honestly, they're so beautiful that, you know, I'm just gonna let them speak for themselves. Right, so in the bucket, down here, well, you can just barely see them. They have been acclimated. Wow. So they have been acclimating down here for the past couple of hours and they have been chilling down here. A beautiful L129 Colombian zebra pleco. Now the Colombian pleco zebra is zebra pleco is what I'm trying to say. But the Colombian zebra pleco is by some people called the fake zebra pleco, which I honestly don't understand it at all. I feel like it's in a beauty of its own. If you know plecos like the 340, you know, Plecos like the 236, 333, the King Tiger, all of those kind of comes in different varieties of white and black. And none of those are called fake zebra Pleco because I don't really feel like this is, it's unique and it's really just its own. And the main purpose of this is actually to try to breed it and see if we can really bring out these white colors in it. It's gonna take some time. Right now we only have two. Simply, again, they're going in this tank over here for now. I'm gonna eventually get a dedicated tank for breeding these so we can have more together. But the reason that I have two right now for breeding is for one specific purpose. And that is because this entire 60-liter tank, the entire idea of this has always been that this is gonna be a experimental breeding tank, I think is the best way to describe it, because a lot of people, the general consensus is just that you don't breed successfully in a community tank, and there are multiple reasons for this. Well, first of all, if you have any other fish right there, chances are that the fry is going to get eaten, and that does happen quite often, I agree. But the most people who try to breed in community tanks also don't really pay attention to what they actually put inside of the tank, how they escape the tank, and they end up with a tank that might not have the necessary hiding places and all that sorts of stuff. We're gonna just look at the tank in a second. But the second is that this tank is quite full already. So you might be thinking, well, first of all, 60 liters is the bare minimum that you want for a couple of small plecos. Now, keep in mind that this pleco shouldn't go to any bigger than 10 centimeters, and these are two almost fully grown species. You can easily tell the gender on them, and that's most of the time a good giveaway that these are grown. So are they gonna be aggressive towards each other? That's something we're gonna find out. We're gonna split them up if they are, so we don't harm any of the fish. There are already 10 tiny Rasboras in here. Sadly, one of them passed away, but we still have 9 left. Then we also have some Cory catfish in there, which we are gonna remove because that is, in my opinion, sort of the limit. They don't necessarily conflict with each other. Corys and Plecos go along very nicely. They scavenge the same food. They chill around the same areas of the tank, and they generally are super friendly to each other. Then we have something that is maybe towards each other, not as friendly when it comes to breeding, which is a Pistogramma McMastery, or not McMastery, wow, the Viagita, which is kind of to some extent just a more colorful variant of the McMastery. At least they look a lot alike, but still, these are true Viagitas as far as I know, so they are not just some extra colorful variant of the McMastery. But nevertheless, I'm getting on a sidetrack here. The reason that I want to bring this up is because a lot of people will probably be thinking, well, aren't you gonna overstock this tank? So aren't you just gonna be harmful to the fish and you want to do fish YouTube, so how can you do this? How can you even put yourself in this position? Well, it's rather simple in my opinion, because I feel like to some extent we also have to experiment with this if we want to show how you can do things differently, so we don't just end up with the same content all over YouTube, no matter who you follow. So this is an experiment more than anything else, and I promise you, I guarantee you that I will pay close attention to the well-being of these fish, so that none of these fish will stress and end up dying from it. The sole purpose is to see, can we breed both the pistogramma and L129 pleco in the same tank under somewhat small circumstances? And I'm kind of sure that the answer is gonna be yes, but I'm gonna sit down, have the tank in the background, and talk a little bit about the tank and why I think this can actually be done. Now, before we move on to that though, we have one more thing that we gotta do, and that is add these guys to their new home, which I am really hoping that they will like. So I'm gonna leave that there. And now comes the moment of truth. I actually don't know if this is a good idea, but hopefully they will just dump down into the net without jumping around. At least I'm kind of hoping. There goes one, there goes the other. Good. No jumping. And I'm gonna do something here that I wouldn't normally do, but there is a lot of gunk in that net and I don't want it going into the tank. And also there's a couple of snails that I don't want to go there. So I'm gonna pick them up with my hands. Please don't do this unless it's really necessary, because it is unnecessary stress for the fish. But I mean, there's just a lot of dirt down here and we don't really want that. So I'm gonna try to be super careful here. No, I really don't like doing that. So I'm kind of hoping that they're just gonna swim out by themselves before we get too much of this stuff into the tank. But you don't really want to get out because you feel safe down here, and I get that. So let's just see if we can do this. That's one of them, and that is the other one. So we did it successfully, and one of them decided to just chill here right next to the tank so that you can get a good look at him. Colorful, not really right now because this guy is super stressed. But what I'm liking about the two dudes that or guy and a girl, should I say, that I picked up, let's just actually see. Who do we have here? I'm quite confident that we got the female right here. Her belly is a bit more round than what her male companion is. The male has a very nice, almost arrow head shaped kind of body, and he looks super good, but so does she. And they got some nice white-ish coloration already, which is what I'm hoping that we can, through breeding, bring out even more. Oh, look who came to say hello. Oh, Vegetas, look at those colors. It just, my mind is blown whenever I look at these guys. They're so colorful. It's really just so impressive how anything can look this good. How is this not the favorite and most preferred fish of anyone out there? I think the male went over here. Oh, and while we are here, well, then I can just show you how I plan to breed these. So as you can see, I actually, oh, there we are. So we have one Pleco cave in there. There is another one buried into the substrate. You can't really see that one, but it is there. Yeah, and I don't think we're gonna be lucky enough to actually get a view of the male right now, but at least the female looks like she's doing good down here. She's just hiding right now because she don't really want to peek, but the male Vegeta is at least there to say hello, or maybe tell her not to come at his territory. I don't really know which one it is, but I hope they'll be happy. Let's talk about the tank. So, Pleco breeding and the pistogramma breeding in this tank. Well, basically what the experiment is going to be all about, or experiment, it sounds so official. It's not really all about that. It's just more so just about learning more about the entire hobby and keeping fish and what this means, what can be done, what can't be done. And I'm hoping with this little experiment here that we can learn a bit more about what can actually be done when it comes to breeding in a community tank. So the entire philosophy behind this tank was to set up a Dragonstone aquascape that would be great for apistos and make them feel at home. And as far as I can tell right now, they definitely feel at home. You can see one of the females chilling by a cave there. That cave over there, and the Cories get so scared whenever I even get close to the glass, it's kind of funny. But that cave over there, that cave right there, they've been really keen on. I also made an artificial cave over here, which was made up with actually a shrimp cave. because those have a very, very nice size for Epistos for what they want, and also provides smooth surfaces, which they might need whenever they breed. Some don't, some do. But it looks like they really enjoy the caves. Now, the male is showing some dominance towards the females, but his aggression has definitely gone down over the past week. This can easily be because he's, you know, they're kind of just claiming territories for now, and then when he settles in, then he's going to be less aggressive. The two that you saw before often swim together. There is a third female in there to maybe hopefully just until I know how aggressive he is, then he can at least split the aggression onto those two. But it definitely seems like the ones that you saw together before has slowly started forming a pair. She's actually down there right now. She's also the most colorful of them, which is why I'm thinking that she's kind of with him on his games of just showing up to her a bit. You can see he spotted her now actually, and he's not going that hard against her. And now he's checking out the Pleco again. So, for the other side of the tank, which is going to be your right side, well, on that side, I was thinking could then be the home of our Pleco breeding. And the Plecos over there have a couple of Pleco caves, as well as a lot of natural caves within the driftwood and the dragonstone that is laid out between all of the drift. The theory here is that this, together with the heavy planting, which is gonna grow, it's gonna get way better than it is right now. Keep in mind that this tank is a month old at this point, so it hasn't really been running for all that long. But if you look at something like the Hygrophila pinnatifida, it's just grown so much already. In the background, we have some Rotala HRA, forgot the name of those, but those are also going to provide some nice cover for all of the baby fish. And if we look at this side, well, Epistogrammas are known for good parents, and that is also why I've went ahead and gone with the Viagita, because those together with the McMastery is, in many people consider those to be some of the most peaceful and good parents. If you take something like the Epistogramma agassizii, which was my first pick before I learned just how aggressive they were as parents, well, they would have more than likely eaten all of their babies because you would need to isolate those. But these guys seem to be quite good parents, and the biggest bonus about this is that these are actually, from at least from what I've heard, probably one of the best breeders of Epistos, at least here in the north, but some say in the entire of Europe. So these are also hopefully well taught on how to be parents themselves. They've not really just been raised in a tiny tank and where they've been separated for the parents and everything. So hopefully these guys should know how to take care of their young ones. And if they can, well, then the only thing that is really left to eat them are the Rasboras. And the Rasboras can eat extremely young fry, but their mouths are not big enough. So if the fries can survive for a couple of weeks, well, then they can also survive until they're big enough that I'm gonna remove them and they're gonna sit in their own breeding tank where they can just kind of chill and grow. But I do want to give the parents a chance to actually raise this fry by themselves, because one of the downsides to this hobby and the huge demand for fish is also that fish suppliers are trying to up the numbers of surviving fry. And because of this, they often get separated from the parents before the parents are even given a chance to actually take care of their young ones. And this means that through the generations, they just do not know how to be a parent. They simply just eat their fry because they have no idea how to keep them alive. So they end up eating it and thinking that they need the reserves for another time. And yeah. Female using her cave. Now, one of the other reasons that I don't really see the Rasboras eating the fries, because these guys are super scared. Now, I don't know if they're really that scared of their tank mates, but I have a theory, and that is that these guys are wild caught. So I'm also thinking that they're not really used to being in an aquarium. And as you can see, they are really aware of my place in the room. You can see just me moving my finger. You see how they constantly try to rearrange in the tank to get away. So I don't want to stress them too much, but they really react to everything that's going on around them. One of them also jumped out of the tank the other day because I had my head down here. So he was like, oh, there's someone beneath me, I gotta jump. So one of them simply jumped out of the tank. I was lucky enough to get him in there again. But they look super fine, so they don't look stressed or anything like that, which is a good thing. Oh, and there's a male and a female checking each other out again. She swam away. But all in all, from the Epistos, I'm seeing plenty of signs that they want to breed already. It will probably be a couple of weeks before they will start. That's usually what it takes when I breed other fish before they settle down and really feel comfortable and start breeding. But eventually we should get there, and I'm hoping that that is going to be with a great success. The Plecos is a new thing for me to breed, so it's probably also a big task for me to sit here and already say that I can breed these guys in captivity in a community tank. So we're gonna have to see how that goes. But I'm hopeful as of right now. The tank is doing so good. It looks well balanced. Things are growing like no tomorrow. I don't know if you remember the last video, you might remember how much growth we had on these. And well, compared to now, also I have to top up the water. It's quite cold here in Denmark right now, so the water evaporation is literally crazy. I think it's probably been 2 days since I filled this up, and it was almost filled to the edge, and it's already quite low, but it is what it is. It's fine nevertheless. It's looking good. I'm very happy with this result. I cannot wait to keep you guys updated. Hopefully I can update you with successful breeding. If nothing else, I can share my experiences with this. And most importantly, I just cannot wait to show you this tank once it's fully grown. It's gonna look so sick when everything in here is just covered. I'm kind of trying to let nature do its own thing and influence it as little as possible. I'm gonna trim the plants because I want that nice thick growth, but I'm not gonna remove any kind of mosses because I hadn't placed any mosses over here, but you can see there's plenty of growth all around already, and it is looking way different from what I first made it, but I'm not gonna interfere with that. I'm not gonna interfere if any plants uproot themselves and they relocate themselves to somewhere else. I'm not gonna move that either, because I wanna see what this can evolve to. I just wanna keep a nice looking tank, and then hopefully nature can do the rest. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully this explains the situation to some extent. Also, funny story. Back when I bought my butterfly pleco for the tank down here, well, this guy kept on going into the net, and the lady who at the shop was not really a part of the fish department. She was super stressed about trying to catch fish, and she was like, oh, I don't want to put him back in because she was afraid to hurt him and stuff. So she just threw him in the bag and was like, can you please take him home because I feel like I stressed him enough. And I did, and so far he's quite happy together with the Rasboras. He's schooling with them so well. If they get scared, he gets scared. If they go hide, he goes hide. He goes to hide. He stays in the middle of all of them, and it's actually kind of funny to see how he's schooling with them even though they're not tetras. So yeah, little funny story, and I think you know the most of all of my fish now. So that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll subscribe if you haven't done it already. It helps me out a bunch. And do let me know what you think about this entire setup and my ideas on breeding. If you have any tips and tricks, or if you just have a comment about the entire thing that I'm trying here. Stay safe until next time. Bye bye.